Share with me where you were at when we were on the phone 8 weeks ago in your health, in your life, your energy, your sleep, just in general. What was your life like back then?
Sure. And as I'd mentioned to you, when I first started this, I had a lot of concerns because of my prior health condition issues. But I knew I had to do something, and that was the reason why I wanted to sign on, because obviously all of the previous videos and all of the previous information that you put out there said basically, hey, look, this is a go at your own pace. It's a very easy program. It's not difficult in terms of, the physicality of trying to accomplish the goals that you want to get to. That was the thing I kept seeing on the promotional aspect of it, was how easy it was, and it is easy. However, the thing that I didn't anticipate was the mental challenges that I had to overcome, but I needed to overcome them because I didn't realize how lethargic I had become in some areas. This has made me a lot more disciplined. It's caused me to have a more of a focus on getting things done, as opposed to, well, I'll just do that later, or I might, I'm gonna eat healthier, for instance, as an example. But yet there were no results for it because I wasn't backing it up with any kind of physicality. Because when I did try to exercise, I was having, faintness issues and things like that, and it was probably a result of the fact that I wasn't doing it properly. But having, you as a guide and a coach, whether it be in live conversation or on video, uh, just constantly encouraging to move forward when you don't feel like you can, or possibly stopping when you need to stop as well. Uh, and I just got to the point, and it didn't happen immediately, obviously. Over the course of the 8 weeks, I think I mentioned to you that my biggest challenge was changing the mindset that I had about the habits that I had already been involved in, day to day habits that I was in, and I was breaking those habits. And so that was probably the hardest part for me, was the psychological aspect of breaking habits. But once I started breaking them, then obviously I was eager to set new ones. And once I set the new ones, they perpetuated new ones. And so, I've noticed that I change not only how I do things, but how I talk, how I think, how I pray. I'm much more excited about going to church now than I was before, even though I kind of went through the motions of it all. I just feel like, that I feel more connected to my higher power, to God. I feel more connected. And it's really funny that you would not anticipate that out of a training program, right? I mean, but it is. It's like you kind of see yourself uh, as others would see you. When you look in the mirror, especially whenever you're doing measurements, was the inches. They just kept dropping off. They kept dropping off. I got less focused about the scale, more focused about the process, and not worrying about the weight, not worrying about the inches, not worrying about the outcome, but focused on the process. And about midway through, that's when things began to click. That's when things began to change. And that's when it became, because I even had, in the beginning, I remember telling you, I was almost not fearful, but very hesitant about doing the training because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how I was going to be affected by it. I didn't know if I could handle it. And I had an embedded fear, almost like a phobia, like you do with heights. It's hard to explain why somebody has fear of heights and other people don't, right? And why would somebody be afraid of working out or doing what's required of them? But I was resisting it for psychologically for some strange reason, and it wasn't until I broke through that things began to change significantly. So the first 4 weeks were harder than I thought, but not because of the program and not because of the process, just because I was having to flush out all of the mess that was internal and get it out.
Yeah.
And then once I began to feel like I was in control, then that made everything I did from that point on is so much easier.
From where you're at, let's slate black and white. Black was where you started at when I talked to you on the phone, and then where you're at today, 8 weeks later, and then just share just the raw facts. Like, what were your results? You did mention you didn't want to
Sure,
talk about your weight, or you just
sure,
thinking about the process, but at the same point, you got results. So just
right.
share that whole process, because the end goal is in 8 weeks you've done a complete 180 in how your
Yeah.
life is.
And it's funny, Brad, because I'm almost 6 foot tall, uh, and I weighed 224, 225 when I started. I don't think I necessarily looked bad in clothes until you took the clothes off. Then there was this big, jelly roll around my waist, the old biscuit, where it hangs over. Um, so I didn't think looked terribly bad from that perspective but I didn't feel good inside. I just didn't have the energy, and I didn't have the mental focus, and I didn't have those things. And so now I weigh 211. So I've lost 12 to 13 pounds. And it's not even about, again, about the weight, because uh, dynamically, I almost feel like I, not that I look the same, but I feel like I'm a smaller version of what I was. But what the dramatic impact is the emotional and the mental change that's occurred, as opposed to just focusing solely on the physical, right? Because yeah, my I've gone up a couple of notches on my belt. It's obviously I've had to adjust there. I can tell my clothes are fitting a little bit looser, but now I've got this mindset of, for the first time since I'm 62, and since I haven't been at my ideal weight since I was in my 30s. And so for 30 some odd years, I've just kind of been hoblogging along, and just not really, like I said, not really being super big, but not certainly not being at a weight that you would consider ideal for optimal performance day to day, because we have a lot of stresses. I mean, as working and running businesses and families, there's a lot going on. And if you're not prepared for that, and even with the medical conditions that I had, if you're not in good shape physically, you can make your recovery take a lot longer. It can affect you in so many negative ways. And so I'm just glad I'm on this journey now to get myself back to the most optimal level that I can be at, because I really want to be a support for other people, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and everything else. But it's like they say when you're on the airplane, you got to put the mask on yourself first before you can help somebody else. And I feel like that's the process that I'm taking on now.
Great. Well, yeah, and kind of explain, because you and I have not met in person, but
Right?
we haven't done any in-person stuff. So this is
No,
100% virtual coaching program.
it
Kind
is.
of explain. Do you feel like you still have that one-on-one accountability, that one-on-one coach? Did you feel like you had that throughout the 8 weeks?
Yeah, obviously, every time I sent you I got it in, or a picture of my results or whatever, you there, to respond back to me. And then, we had a couple of weekly calls where we talked over the phone and Zoomed like we're doing now, to be able to share information. So, absolutely, I always felt that way. I loved all the different articles that you put out about all the things that you wouldn't even consider that would affect you, right? And all having all of that at your disposal.
What would you say to what the fat method is, and then what would
Sure,
you say to someone that's checking it out?
sure. Uh, what I would say is, if you're looking for I mean, maybe things you've done in the past haven't worked, or maybe they have worked, but you're looking for something to put you on a new path, a new plane, a new direction, to create some new habits that are going to benefit you, not just for the next 8 weeks, but for really the rest of your life. You really need to consider looking into this program, because it's not, like I said, it's not difficult in and of itself. The hardest part is just convincing yourself to follow a new process that you're not used to following. That's all it is. It's all it is. And if you can overcome that hurdle, then that will tell you that you can do anything. There's nothing you can't do, right? Because if you can jump the little hurdle, then you can start jumping bigger hurdles. And I think that's what this program does, is it gives you the platform to prove to you you can get results, you can jump the little hurdles so that you can start working on jumping bigger hurdles.
If you were to put, write down all the benefits that has happened over the course of the last 8 weeks, what would those be?
Well, certainly the benefit of the weight loss, by that's first and foremost. That has been certainly a benefit. Sleeping better at night, getting a more restful sleep, putting myself on a schedule as opposed to the whims of whatever I feel like doing, knowing that, I'm in control of myself in a scheduled way. I'm now more in control of what I do, and the timing of when I do it. Just to give you a good example, I mean, I used to love to walk around the neighborhood, and I stopped, especially on beautiful nights. And last night was another beautiful night, and I got out. I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna go walk around the neighborhood. And so she's like, okay, no problem. And I used to only walk around the neighborhood because I had a dog. I had to go to walk the dog. So that was my excuse to go walking through the neighborhood. And so I forgot how much I enjoyed doing those things. I haven't done them in a long time. Just looking for opportunities to go. And I was watching, for instance, golf yesterday on TV, and I was like, made me think, you know what, I want to go start playing golf again. There's things that I really enjoyed doing throughout my life that I stopped because I wasn't in good enough physical shape to be able to do it, and I didn't have the right mindset to push myself to do it.